for my purpose. This little sweet pea here. He's my recessive expressed gene. God, I call him the light of my life, but he's also, I nicknamed him Alligator, or Jay nicknamed him Alligator. They started calling him that, and I just stuck with me because he's my all-in gate. And for me, that's what alligator means, because it's gatto, which is cat, which is he's mine. I know how the time stands still and where I'm in love with someone who does not exist in this reality, or when the world starts turning again. Or at least I haven't been able to stay as a consistent feature in whatever's going on. But this morning, in this whatever, See the BS This Morning is on. I'm obviously still in New York. McMaster's was on this morning in some chumming the water, like he's my great white shark with sharp teeth. I'm just a baby seal, like, no mangiare noi, don't eat me. You've got some other paramilitary to your other box to your left in Hollywood Squares, interviewing you like your bestest buds over here in North America. So anyhow, so now on comes the story of a lighthouse, which again, it's off. I'm in an island, but they pronounce it island. There's some malformation of druidic symbols, a conceptual construction of hybrid theory, and then there's the way that the locals look at it. So this story I felt very touching. The first one was Michigan, but this one's Florida Keys.
So what happens when they're no longer needed and left to fall apart? That's what happened in a small village of about 6,000 people in the Florida Keys. Some people in Isla Mirada are rallying behind a crumbling lighthouse. They say it's worth saving.
Isla Mirada. Yeah, I see Islam or ADA. Druidically. But Isla Mirada. And then there's Marauder. Right, yeah, again, that's McMaster's, like, giant white shark with big teeth, kind of a dad thing.
Manuel Bajarcas traveled to the Keys to meet the people throwing a lifeline to an aging icon.
4 miles off the coast of Isla Mirada, rising 136 feet above the Aqua Sea, stands Alligator Reef Lighthouse, a fixture on the horizon here for more than a century. It's a beloved symbol of this community. On the village seal, postcards, t-shirts, souvenirs, even hanging over your head at the local diner. Replicas, both small and big.
This is a 14-foot replica of Alligator Lighthouse that I built.
Local artist Larry Hurlth is perhaps its biggest fan. His sculptures around town made in honor of the offshore icon.
You know, growing up here all my life, I kind of always took it for granted.
Until one day, about a decade ago, when a boat ride to the lighthouse changed everything.
For really the first time in my life, I truly and depthly looked at this thing. Everything was rusted through, and that's the first time I realized, what, condition the lighthouse was in. The thought of losing it was, quite, scary at that point, because what it means to us.
Built just after the Civil War, it had shined its light since 1873, guiding countless ships and lives away from danger. But for Larry, its meaning goes deeper.
My mother and my brother, their ashes are sprinkled there.
You decided that's where your mother and brother would rest?
Yes, and that's where I will.
Saving Alligator Light became Larry Hurlth's mission, but it was in the government's hands.
And out of frustration, I just thought one day, I'm gonna swim to Alligator Lighthouse and see if that can drum up some type of attention,
And it
which
did.
it certainly did.
8 miles round trip. The publicity stunt in 2012 made headlines and caught the attention of Rob Dixon, who ran a charity at the local pool.
It's Islamorada Statue of Liberty. You know, to put it bluntly, it would be a totally different community if that were not there.
The next year, they organized an even bigger swim around the lighthouse, hoping the U.S. government would notice and make some repairs. But still, in 2014, the light went out. Despite their efforts, modern advances in navigation, like GPS, had made the lighthouse obsolete. There would be no repairs. In fact, the Coast Guard determined it no longer needed an active lighthouse there at all.
And it was just a sad moment for everyone in town to, you know, everyone said, the light's out, because we've seen it all our life.
There was one glimmer of hope. A federal law called the National Historic Lighthouse Preservation Act.
It is strictly for the Coast Guard to dispose of their lights that they no longer have a need for, but they still see is integral to the history of the United States.
Ellen Rankin, a historian with the National Park Service, helps manage the program. She explained the government could transfer ownership of the lighthouse, but there's a catch.
You're not going to give this away to somebody who's going to put a sports bar in there.
Correct.
You want this to be someone who's going to take care of it for
Sports bar?
the greater public good.
Correct. That's exactly the purpose of this program.
I said, maybe we should try to get it.
So for months, they worked on their application, making their case to be the new keepers of the lighthouse.
There was no guarantee that you were going to get it.
No, and it seemed like a real long shot at the beginning. And as we got closer to submitting this application, it started to seem like a real thing that could happen. So like, well, who's better than us? Nobody. We're the home team.
The U.S. government agreed. In December, the deed for Alligator Lighthouse was officially signed over to its new owners.
To me, that is the greatest honor.
Yeah. So this is the next chapter in its history.
This is it.
It will be a monumental task. Stabilizing and restoring it could take years and millions of dollars.
I've never done this before, but somebody had to do it. I said, somebody has to take this ball and run with it and get it over the goal line. And with Larry's enthusiasm and our community, I know it's going to be amazing.
He's got a chance to work on a real live lighthouse.
You've gone from the sculptures to the real thing.
Yeah, I think the sculptures are on back burner now.
A little easier, the sculptures, than this guy here.
Yeah, but absolutely not as satisfying as this will be.
Its lantern may have been extinguished, but Alligator Light's future is looking brighter already. For CBS Mornings, Manuel Bojorquez, Islamorada, Florida.
I love this because lighthouses are symbols of direction, purpose, and of course, spreading light to those in the dark.
Yeah, and Larry's family is buried there. His enthusiasm is what made this happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Lighthouse is very sentimental for a lot of people.
That's right.
Nicely done, guys. Coming up, the newest star.
It is and this whole thing is a bigger problem than ever. It's called Bridgerton, or Bridgerton, I don't know, whatever. It's the wrong people in the wrong era trying to, again, steal identity. I mean, it's like, why on earth? I mean, like, there's so many existential problems and so many hot topics and buttons. I really don't want to hit them all. However, I trigger buttons and trigger fingers. There is a very specific crowned look and costume that belongs to a very specific genetic lineage and heritage. And me and my children are not comfortable with not us dressing in our costume and our whatever and going on and pretending and posing as if any time in history it was an acceptable event for them to act this way. I don't want any historical event to ever appear in a diorama as a reference point for them trying to take over and assume an identity that was not theirs and was not offered to them. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. Like, paramilitary chum is in all the water. I mean, it is blood from here until I don't know how far. But it is just, I see it everywhere. I've just been citing it, referencing it, documenting it, just how much they have stolen in boundary and in painting themselves with identity that doesn't fit their motif. It's star 1978, star 8378.